Hey guys, Michael Bemis here, and this is another The Good, The Bad, The Ugly Reviews, where we discuss the good things, the bad things, and the ugly things about movies, TV shows, and video games. Now I know I've been on hold for quite a while. It's fair to say it's almost been a year. That's mostly because I've been experimenting with new things. I actually just started a review show called The YouTube Reviewer. Didn't like it, so I'm coming back to this one because I do think this one is the most original review show I've ever done, and I just kind of like it more. That I don't really focus on just one thing, like YouTube Reviewer, where I only reviewed stuff on the internet. But on this one, I review movies, TV shows, video games, and stuff on the internet, and that's actually what this one is about. This is the Sonic fan film. So, for those of you who don't know what the Sonic fan film is, it is a low-budget film that was created by Blue Choreo Studios. They are very well known for their Mega Man film, and they actually are very nice at making these things. For people who don't have a big budget and don't have a big studio, I'm impressed. So, this movie consists of pretty decent animation, good music, the original voice actor from the 90s Sonic cartoon, Jaleel White, voicing Sonic, and like some cameos from certain YouTube, like Doug Walker, the nostalgia critic, is in this movie. You would think this movie would make a lot of people happy. No. No, it did not. This movie does have more likes than dislikes, but the amount of hate this movie has gotten is almost jaw-dropping, because I really like this, but so many people hated it. Now, not to be rude to Sonic fans, because you guys actually have made some damn impressive stuff, and I actually do have a lot of respect for the Sonic fans, though I'm not personally one anymore. I used to be a huge Sonic fan, but I'm after the newer releases on games. No, but I do have a lot of respect for the fans, but the only thing is, they complain more than any other fan base that exists. And even when it comes to a comedy like Sonic for Hire on the internet, there's people who complain a lot, like the whole Shadow the Hedgehog thing. People were bitching for 5 seasons straight to have him put in there, and when they put him in there, they complain about the sprite and they complain that he was only in one episode. They act like it needs to be taken so seriously when it's a short comedy made by the same people who make dorkly videos on the internet. I mean, seriously, the fans do not ever know how to stop complaining. They'll say they want more Shadow in a video game, but then when they do it, they'll say, no, we want less Shadow. Or they will say the same thing about Tails, and when they want, like, they'll say they want a big storyline, Sonic 06. But then they'll bitch about the big storyline, and how it was stupid and how it ruined everything. And then they'll talk, although I will be fair, I think a lot of the hate from Sonic 06 comes from gameplay, but then they want a shorter story. They get it in Sonic Generations, but people bitch about it. They want the games to return to the classic gameplay. Sonic 4, people bitch about it. And I played Sonic 4. It's not perfect, but it's not bad. I don't know why I got hated on so much. It seems whenever something Sonic related comes out that is cool, no matter what, it's gonna get hated on. So, I do think the Sonic fans are the most bipolar people out of any fan base, and I also believe they are the most picky fan base out of any of the fan bases. But to be fair, you guys do make cooler things than most fan bases. I actually do think the Mario fan videos are not nearly as cool as the Sonic fan videos, and the Mario fan videos can be pretty damn cool. So, I will give you guys credit for that. Now let's move on to the actual review. The Ugly. Now I'm going to take off very few points for this when I give this movie a grade, but there are 2 things about this movie I consider to be ugly. Now one of them I'm not taking any points off, and I feel like this is something that so many people complained about that isn't a big deal, but yes, I do think it belongs under the ugly. Knuckles' hand at the end of the movie. Yes, that bothered me a little bit too. Not enough to make me bitch about it, but yeah, they should have made Knuckles' hand look like what it was supposed to look. But that's not, I'm not even going to take anything off for that. That was not a big deal at all. Now, another big problem with this movie that makes it ugly, which is a pretty big problem, is the lip movement. The lip sync, the lip movement, it's just pretty damn bad. It's... I'm not even going to put Sonic's model under this, because this is a YouTube movie, and I feel like they wanted to do something a little bit original with the model, so that's why it looks like he kind of has hair gel in, or why you can actually see the individual spikes. I think that's original. I think that was actually well thought out, that they didn't, like, I mean, they could have easily made a normal Sonic model, but instead they tried to add detail to it. Now, while it didn't work for some people, it actually really did work for me. I'm happy they did that, because just that made the movie seem a little bit more original itself, and a little bit more realistic. And I do know that it's obvious animation, but do keep in mind this was made by a single person, like, not the whole movie, but the animation was done by a single person, and it was, you know, a very low-budgeted film. What would you expect? This is YouTube. This is pretty damn good for YouTube, you guys. So that's what I have to say about the ugly. On to the bad. Okay, so this movie, while I do really like it and feel like people are complaining about nothing a lot, there is flaws. And one of the biggest flaws comes with the plot. The plot I do think is really good, and I'll say what's good about it in the good. But the problems with the plot is I feel like a lot of it was rushed. You know, I feel like there were a couple extra scenes they could have added to make one. They could have made it longer. You know, the movie was pretty short. And I understand why it was short. It looks like it took forever to animate all that stuff, and he was the only one doing it, so do keep that in mind. Plus, you know, it was a low-budget film. I'm pretty sure these people had to make monies for their living, so they probably had jobs while all of this was going on as well. But I do feel like there were a couple of scenes that could have been added to slow things down a little bit, and they didn't have to have Sonic in them. They could have had, like, you know, people's reactions. They could have had a few more scenes from Gunn or the military. That would have actually made more sense if they would have gone a little bit more into the military. Because by the looks of it, the military just was not trying at all. They sent a few soldiers out to stop this thing from the film's point of view. They could have added so much more to it than that. They could have I actually kind of would have liked if it would have shown a few scenes where Robotnik was trying to wipe out all the South Islanders, and Sonic was, like, the one person to avoid it. I feel like that would have been really cool, but nope. I just feel like there was so much things that could have been added to make it not as rushed as it was. So really, other than the fact I felt it was rushed, which is a pretty big flaw, don't get me wrong, I don't see anything else wrong with it, because I don't think the animation was bad at all for someone who was doing it alone. And once again, this is YouTube. This isn't a huge production studio. You can't expect them to make something that looks like Transformers, even though I hate that movie, but it does look pretty damn good. But, you know, you can't expect them to be able to animate like that. You guys' expectations are way too big for someone who's doing this on YouTube with no budget, and is not even making any money off this movie, and is only doing it with the intention to give you guys something that you like. And you guys are complaining about it, acting like, you know, he took money from you guys, acting like, you know, you had to go to the movie theater and pay for this. He made a movie for you guys. He spent 2 years work on it while probably running a job. And that's just an assumption. I don't really think they make money for what they do. They didn't have a budget to make this film, and they did have a budget, but it was a very low budget. It was a low-budget film, and I feel like people complained way too much than was necessary. If this was a movie that you went to the movie theater to see, and you actually had to pay money to see, then I would understand being pissed off, because that means like, if it was an 18-minute movie and it was in the movie theater, there's a huge problem right there. But of course, let's just say if this movie was put into an hour and 30 minutes and was released in the movie theater, okay, yes, the animation, that does not look like something that would be in a movie theater movie, but for YouTube, that is, like, really, really good. So I don't know why people are complaining so much about that. Finally, the good. Now this movie has so many good things about it, if you ask me. I feel like this movie brings back so much nostalgia, and a lot of people hated Sonic's voice. It was Jaleel White, the person who voiced him in those 3 Sonic shows back in the 90s. That right there was pretty damn impressive on its own. The animation is something I'm putting under the good, because it was done by one person, and it was done with a very low budget. I think it looks pretty damn good, especially the ending with Green Hills on. I thought that was amazing. And another thing that I put under the good is the storyline of this movie. I thought the storyline was actually really well done for an 18-minute film. In Sonic 1, you know, Eggman already has won. He trapped all the animals, he had all these robots out, and Sonic basically defeated him and got everything back. That's exactly what it showed in this movie. Robotnik got everything, and Sonic is now going to stop him. It was a prequel to the first game. It was actually really well thought out. One of my favorite parts about this movie is the ending with Green Hill Zone. Yeah, I agree with most people. He should have been a little bit faster in that scene, but I still thought it was pretty damn cool, and like, it was the scenery looked nice, and then you get to see Knuckles, which I thought was pretty cool too.
If only you knew what we were all in for.